again, back in the bag again. Whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hartman, and today's show, I'm bringing on Dan Radke of Radke Basketball Academy, a friend of mine. We've coached together at the youth level, started his own training program out here in the West Metro. So excited to talk to him about that, but we also got to talk about the Timberwolves and their Game 6 closeout against the Denver Nuggets. Epic performance, just one of the most exhilarating, enjoyable games I can remember. Maybe not quite Game 7 at Denver a couple years ago, but definitely up there just in terms of so many guys being out, battling through adversity, everybody writing them off and saying the Nuggets were going to close this thing out now because of the injuries to Ant and Dante and Io. No Kyle Anderson. Just a great all-around performance from the Timberwolves. Target Center was electric. It was just a great Thursday night. So we'll talk about that game a little bit as well before we talk about Radke Basketball Academy. Please, if you can, follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, subscribe on YouTube, and of course, if you can, follow on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and leave a review if you're so inclined. I appreciate you all for listening. And with that, let's get into it. All right. Just like many of my friends that I've developed over the years, this one also comes from basketball. With me today to talk about the Timberwolves, but also about training and coaching is Dan Radke from Radke Basketball Academy. Dan, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of knew each other through your wife is from my hometown, but really we kind of got connected through basketball, coaching together last season. And I quickly realized that you were one of the, I don't want to say few, but there aren't too many people that have as much passion about basketball as I do. But you are definitely in that group. So, it's really been fun, talking basketball with you, talking hoops. We'll get to the Radke Basketball Academy later. But first things first, we got to talk about the Wolves, man.
Yeah, man.
They closed it out in 6 games.
Yep.
Crazy, right? What was your, Game 6 takeaway? Because there was lots of storylines. There was lots to talk about.
Shock. I can't. I still am just since it's been such a break from then with all these Game 7s, it doesn't feel like it's real yet because, after Io went down, I wrote it off. I was like, I just expected, a blowout loss. But, defense is always the reason why teams win. And it shouldn't, surprise anybody that Jaden showed up defensively and Clark showed up. He was huge, even though he tried to, pick a fight with Joker and maybe lost that one a little bit. But, I don't know. It's something weird about this team that whoever steps in that isn't normally a defender, you think about Julius Randle in his career. No one would have ever put defense as a reason that he'd be good. And there's something about Rudy and what he's given this team as a identity that anyone that's playing steps up and, plays amazing defense. And to hold that team under 100 points again with, I know that they had injuries as well, but, they were the best offensive team in the league all season. So it felt good. It just felt like a championship in a weird way. And I know that that's odd to say in a first round, but to overcome those odds and to have every single writer write us off just felt so good to pull that out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The fact that so many people, including the Vegas odds makers, were basically saying the Nuggets were 8-1 favorites then to win the series after we were up 3-1 or 3-2. And it was one of the most satisfying wins, as much as Game 7 from 2 years ago over the Nuggets to me, just because of the way it happened and who stepped up. And, there was so much going into it. And, I was talking Rudy Gobert legacy series, he knocks off Joker again.
Yeah.
And, Joker had triple doubles and he had 25 to 30 points every game, but it was a struggle. You could tell he was not comfortable. And then Jaden was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I got tired. Like they just wore him out. I think Jaden played 45 minutes and Rudy played 42. Like that's
really, I didn't see that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And
you
know, they just,
I mean, you have to win at home. You have to win that game 6.
Right.
You know, you go back to Denver shorthanded and it doesn't feel, you know, as likely. So I think that they basically treated it like a game 7 and McDaniels just said like, you know, I'm not coming off the court unless I'm on one leg. So felt good.
Yeah.
Felt really good.
That was, you know, as a Minnesota sports fan, I know you're originally from Montana, so you haven't grown up here your whole life, but like a game where everyone was like saying that, what you just said, like you have to win that game. And for them to show up and actually just earn it was such a, I don't know, this team continues to like surprise me or make me just confident in them and believe in them. Like all season, I was kind of like, hey man, we've seen this before. Like they'll get in the playoffs and they'll get it going. And it's kind of what happened. It wasn't always perfect or beautiful, but man, it was, like you said, the guys stepped up. Terrence Shannon Jr., man, he was what we've all been waiting for, basically, right?
Exactly. You know, and it sucks for Finch to take how many injuries until Shannon finally gets good minutes and then shows why wasn't he a first round pick? Didn't we move up to get him with Dillingham? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, anyone that played, I think they played 8 guys, and they all played big minutes. I mean, Mike Conley was huge, you know, and like that block, I don't know, technically could have been a foul, but to me it looked pretty clean. For even him to rise to that occasion is big time. It's just like you talk about legacy series and, you know, like I was actually on the other side of it back in 2004, the last time that they were good in the playoffs. I was a big Kobe guy, so I had just moved here a couple of years before, so I wasn't quite on the Minnesota bandwagon yet, and I actually became a fan when they were at their worst, you know, shortly after that, like 2009, 2010, started being a fan when they were, you know, constantly in the lottery, which feels good now to go through all of that and have this come out. So yeah, it's fun. Right. It's fun to watch them. And like you said, it's, you know, you talk about Finch. Everyone gives Finch crap for saying that they were bored in the regular season. And, like, why would you say that? Why would you come out and say that? It's like, well, it's true. And that, you know, quote-unquote switch was absolutely flipped. And they showed that they can do it, you know. And maybe they were bored. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was the truth. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up Conley because I wrote him down in my notes, too, of, like, he did some of the more gritty things that usually you see Dante do, that was honestly when Ant and Dante went out, I thought they can get through Denver without Ant. If somebody else can do these like little hustle plays and like rotations and like, you know, do those things. And it was a combination, but you mentioned Jalen Clark, Mike Conley. They both hit threes in game 6 and played great defense. And then also I thought Nas, you know, he's battling that shoulder injury, battling an ankle now, but he did some gritty stuff too, like just getting on the glass, kind of like even tipping balls around, like just effort plays that I just thought it was a collective, like awesome game from professional athletes who don't always do those little things.
Yeah. Well, and it was the difference in the game because, you know, we were down 5 fairly early, but we just kept fighting back because of those gritty things. And someone like Nas, who, you know, ever since his shoulder got hurt, he has not been the same Nas Reed that we remember. You know, 2 years ago, he was a huge reason why we won that series. You know, he was hitting big-time threes, and I can't remember his exact percentage, but it is not great right now. But he kind of took the MO of like, all right, my shot's not there, but I'm going to do anything else I can to help us win, and normally he's not that guy. So it feels pretty good to see all of them kind of buy in, you know, and Rudy obviously just played out of his mind, and it's kind of weird to say that they shut Joker down when I think he almost averaged a triple-double, but it's someone so iconic that when you cut their stats down like that, you're still shutting them down, but he still had like an insane, historic stat line for the series. But
Yeah.
yeah, Rudy's definitely obviously Jaden. That last game was the MVP, but he didn't play that great in Game 5, and Rudy was consistent the whole time. So he just doesn't have as big of an impact offensively, so it's hard to like say, hey, you're the MVP. But without him, we get swept. So
Yeah. I think we talked about this at practice last week on the Wolves had 25 turnovers in game 5. And even if they took 10 of those away, which 15 isn't like, unbelievable, but you're probably winning or close to that, you're in the mix. And they had 7 in game 6 and Jaden had 0.
And
so 45 minutes held Murray to 4 for 17, had 32 points and 10 rebounds and 0 turnovers. Like that is
0.
That's almost a KG level game.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And it just goes back to like who he is as a player since college, of like when it's time to step up, he's there. He shows up, and I don't really care about all the trash talk and backing it up. Like, it's cool. It gives him a cool alter ego, but like he would have showed up regardless, like he was just saying what was on his mind, and then he went out and backed it up, and it was fun. But just, yeah, he was unbelievable. Those little jump shots from like 12, 13 feet that just are money after his spin move. It was just automatic for him. And Murray was so small that he could just shoot over him. So I think this gives him a big boost the rest of his NBA career, to be honest.
Yeah. He's been ascending. His defense has been pretty much there the last 3 years or so, 4 years, but his offense is starting to take. I mean, there was a point this year where I think he was like second in the NBA. This was like not like November. This was like January in like 3-point percentage. He did drop off a lot in March. I think he ended the season at 41 though. I mean, and now in this series, he was awful from 3-point. And, so like, I don't know if that's confidence or if he's lost something here with his 3-point shooting, but he's definitely not been where he was early in the year. And he still was able to put up 32, just getting to that mid-range, like you said.
Yep, mid-range, and that's kind of where Ant lives as well. He's a great 3-point shooter, but that mid-range is a lost art. There's a lot of players that are really good at it, and there's a time for it. I mean, a lot of people think that it's not the greatest shot because statistically, layups or threes are really where the NBA is going, but we just won a series on them, so... Because I don't think the Wolves shot good from 3 the whole team, right?
No, it wasn't a great series for them shooting. But, part of that is you lost Dante and Ant, too, which those two are your best 3-point shooters all season. And that maybe weaves into this next series. Let's talk about the Spurs a little bit, because I do think with Wemby in the game, it's hard to get shots at the rim. This is basically a complete opposite game plan. For the Spurs is what you would do against the Nuggets, right? We wanted to pound it in the paint, and you still got to do those things. It's just going to be way harder. These guys are way more athletic. Denver's not athletic, but they execute the crap out of their half-court offense. And so it's just a completely different game going into it. How do you see the series, or like when you think of the Spurs and what we have right now? Let's assume Io plays and Ant maybe plays game 2 or game 3. What do you think the keys are for the Wolves?
I mean, I think that it's going to come down to defense, number 1, right? Taking care of the ball, number 2. But I think that you still have to like go with what's been successful and maybe try to attack the rim to just test it out and maybe try to get him in foul trouble. Like Wemby's a freak, but like the second he's off the floor, you got to attack. You just got to go at the rim because it just proved that it was a winning success, right? And if Ant and obviously DiVincenzo aren't playing, like our 3-ball just isn't going to be there. So we can't all of a sudden switch our MO and just go, all right, we're staying out of the paint, we're going to jack threes. Like unless you're the Warriors, like that's just not how teams win championships anymore, right? You get to the free throw line, you play good defense. I think that if Nas was healthy, you'd have that corner spot where you'd drive and dish. The problem is they don't have to help because Wemby's in there, right? Like a lot of these other teams, the guards help down, then you can kick out. They don't have to do that because he's, 12 feet tall.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but,
I
I mean,
think
I still think
to
you
me
can
this is
attack.
going to be a really.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say I think we're going to see a lot more Randall Nas lineups and less Rudy. Um, I just think Rudy is not going to be comfortable guarding Wemby on the perimeter. And when you have Nas and Julius together, Wemby has to guard one of them, and one of them will be on the
Yep.
perimeter. And when you have Rudy in the game, you don't have that threat. So I think
Yep.
the other thing is Wemby only played, I think he's averaging like 30, low 30 minutes a game or right around 30 minutes a game. So it's not like he's going to play 38 to 45 minutes a night, you know? So like there are
Do you
moments
think
where
they'll
he won't
ramp
be on the
that
floor
up?
and you have to dominate.
Yeah, you
I
do.
don't know.
Do you think they'll
Luke Cornett's been
ramp it
playing
up?
well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean they're so much more athletic with Harper and Castle and Vassell and De'Aaron Fox and stuff. It's just such a different game that I'm just really, really curious on can the Wolves and I've been saying this for weeks. One of the Wolves' superpowers this year was, especially when they got Io, was they developed this ability to play in like 3 or 4 different ways, offensively and defensively. And now that's really tested because what they did against the Nuggets, attack the rim, everybody going to the basket, you know, hone in on that 2-man game and keep everyone else, in check. Now it's like they got 4 guys that are quick and athletic between like 6'4" and 6'7" that can get to the basket. And then they have Wemby who could shoot threes and blocks everything. It's just, it's so fascinating to me. I think Chris
just
Finch
saw
will get
their
his money in this
uh,
series.
Yeah, I just saw a stat line of their like starting 5 and how much they score, and I think 4 of the 5 are in double-digit averages, and one of them's at like 9.7. So it's every one of them's a threat, right? Like this last game, you can live with I can't remember his name, the 3-point shooter for Denver,
Camp
but
Johnson.
anyway, yeah, Cam Johnson. You can live with him getting 24, 25, shooting threes. You can't live with Joker putting up 50 and Murray putting up 30. Like that's going to kill you, and they shut it down. Where San Antonio, it's anyone's night, because Fox can get hot, and he's so quick that if he can get to the rim, that's where, I understand offensively it's good not to have Rudy in there, but if once he's off the floor, if those quicker guards can get to the rack, you don't have the rim protection, and our defense drops off so much when Rudy's not on the floor. So
Yeah.
but like you said, Finch though, I
Yeah.
mean, Finch won Game 6 with the lineups. Like he absolutely going big with Nas, Rudy, and Julius was the reason we won that game. Like absolutely, we just got every rebound. Like we didn't give them any second chances, which is what killed us in Game 5. Obviously with turnovers. So this next one, he's going to have to figure out and make those adjustments of how to counter the Spurs. Like is going big the answer again, just to kind of help the rim protection and then also battle with Wemby, and you can throw 3 different guys that can guard him. But like you said, offensively, then if Wemby guards Rudy, you got to get Rudy. The pick and roll is nice to keep him up, right, and keep him out of there, so that if people do drive, Wemby's not in there. But man, it is 100% a different series. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I guess the thing that I worry about if you go with that bigger lineup, because it was so effective, but that was because Nas, who is a huge 3, but the Nuggets were trotting out, like you said, Cam Johnson and Tim Hardaway Jr. Those guys are not athletic and quick enough. They couldn't beat Nas off the dribble. The Spurs guys can. And that's
Yeah.
where I kind of worry. And I loved it because we pounded the glass. We created a ton of offensive mismatches. I think it's going to be trickier to do that in this series. I don't know. I think Rudy starts on Wemby just because, and you see
Yeah.
how it goes. I mean, if he can hold his own against Wemby, it's going to be an all-time playoff performance from a defensive player because Jokic is one
Agreed.
thing and Wemby's another, and that would be incredible. So I don't know. Personally, that's why I think Io being in the game is going to be really important because I think Io on Fox, I think Fox is super fast, but Io, I think, can handle that. Then you could put
Yep.
Jaden on Castle, which he's the one I'm most afraid of on the Spurs. And I would love to see McDaniels on him. But then I don't know if Io's not in the game. You got Shannon and McDaniels as your two guards, and you're just
Yeah.
massive again. So
Yeah, and
it's
Shannon's
wild.
fast, but he's fast with the ball going downhill. Defensively, there's a couple times in Game 6 that he lost his defender, like flat out lost him.
Yeah.
It was like junior high stuff.
Right.
So, he's a spark plug, and hopefully he can just bear down and play, because I think he's going to be the key again. Is getting him some minutes. It's just going to be, if he puts up 2, is he giving up 2? You can't have that.
Yeah. Right. And I think, too, the Spurs defenders are a little better. They won't let him get to his left hand the way the Nuggets just. It was almost laughable how it felt like us coaching sixth graders where you're like, make them go the other way. And they literally couldn't do it because they're just,
Nope.
as Jaden said, not great defenders.
No. And it wasn't even in their mindset. It wasn't even like they were trying to make him go right. They were just letting him go left. Like, it wasn't even like they had their left foot up or their right foot up to try to counter it. They just flat out let him go left, and they paid for it, and they're now in Cancun. So
It reminded me a little bit of the Lakers series last year where we were just so much more athletic than them. And they just really couldn't do anything against us. Just felt overmatched. The Nuggets, I think, have some serious offseason questions to answer.
Yep.
And I know they're already talking about it, like, is Murray gone? Do you break that whole thing up and just keep Jokic and build around him? Because I think the problem for them, though, is like your best players in their lineup were like their two of their worst defenders. And Jokic is just not, I mean, he's crafty. He uses his hands and stuff, but like, man, if that's your two best players are that incapable of slowing the other team down, it's going to be really hard. So I almost feel like they got to part with one of them, and it's probably going to be Murray because Jokic is all-time offensive player,
Yeah, and it would be probably sacrilegious to trade Joker, but I can see them somehow getting him to the Lakers. It's the NBA, and I would never put it past like him and Luka teaming up in LA. So I could see a scenario where the entire team is just blown up and they start over. Coach is gone, everyone's gone, because wasn't he an assistant coach that got put in when they fired Mike Malone and he just kind of took over?
Correct.
So It's not like he's built this, so they don't have any ties to it.
Right.
They just kind of went, all right, let's see what you can do. You've got the best player in the league, another outstanding guard. Let's see what you can do with it. And, he got out coached like crazy. To lose that game is a career killer, to be honest.
Yeah. There was a lot of heat for sure. I just for fun would sneak into the Denver media Instagram accounts once in a while just to see how things were going. And yeah, I think they felt the way I think a lot of experts were predicting. And like when Ant and Dante went down, it was just like, they're going to come back and win. And that's again, like the Spurs is feeling that way where a lot of people are just like, well, the Spurs, because they're the 2 seed. And I'm like, yeah, they're the 2 seed, but none of these guys have been in the playoffs. Like even De'Aaron Fox, with all the years that he played in Sacramento, it's not like they were like ever in contention or going to a Western Conference Finals. So, it is a little different, and their coach is young. He hasn't coached a ton. So like, I'm not saying they can't do it, and that Wemby isn't generational and could just lead them to the finals because he's that good. But like, for people to brush this off again as if the Wolves haven't gone to 2 Western Conference Finals, as if Jaden and Rudy didn't just dominate. Yes, the Wolves love it. You can tell that they are eating this up. They're like, fine,
Absolutely.
pick against us because
I love it.
Finch mentioned it in the post gamer. Yeah.
Yep. I don't want to be the favorite. I don't want to, and we won't be with the 6 seed. And I just think that it's a whole different ball game. Well, you just saw the 2 seed go down in the East, and the 1 seed barely hung on and won Game 7. Like, seeds don't matter, right? It's matchups. The biggest thing in the NBA when you get in the playoffs is matchups. Now, obviously, Oklahoma City and the refs are a different animal, but like, it's matchups. And honestly, like, we beat the Spurs 2 out of 3 times this year. And I didn't look to see if Wemby played in those games because he was hurt a lot this year. So maybe he didn't play in any of them and he only played in the one that they won. I don't know. But I just love being the underdog. I root for the underdog in almost every scenario if I don't have a horse in the race. So we might as well just own this.
Yeah. One of those games the Wolves won, Wemby played, because I remember vividly Julius getting physical and just bodying him up, and he had no chance. Wemby was out of his spot. He couldn't get by him because Julius is quick enough. And I think that's why, like, the Julius Nas lineup is really interesting, because Julius is kind of the opposite of Wemby, where he's physical and he'll get in your space. And this is going to be, I was even, if Ant wasn't coming back till game 4, I still think the Wolves were going to get one of those first 3. Like, they've shown it. They're gritty. Jaden can carry you. Rudy and Julius can do things. Like, Julius still hasn't had a unbelievable, like, shooting game. He's had some 20-pointers, but nothing like, he was like 14 for 18 from the field. And that could happen. I mean, Wemby's been injury prone. He could go down. Like, I don't know why there's just this, well, Spurs in 4, Spurs in 5. It's like, what if they, I don't know.
Yeah. And
this is a Homer podcast.
100%. 100%. And that's fine. It should be. It should be. The Spurs, I just don't, I mean, obviously we know our bench, but our bench isn't as deep with, 2 people out. But I just feel that when the second group comes in, we're deeper and better than almost any team in the league. Like, we are so deep, and you can just pick, we played 8 guys, but, realistically, when we're healthy, we got 10, 11 guys that can get on there and contribute, I mean, Slow-Mo was also out. Like, he obviously isn't going to win you a game offensively, but he's so smart, and he plays such smart defense. And he can, he's not playing enough, so, like, his fouls don't matter. Like, he is smart with his fouls, and he affects games, and he didn't even see the court in Game 6. So, I think that we can steal Game 1, to be honest. I think we can show up and punch him in the face and get it done.
Well, I mean, it sounds like Ant is questionable, so who knows? There might be a lift just emotionally from having him, but... Yeah. Well,
yeah, like I said, I wouldn't even think about playing him till Game 5. I just wouldn't. He is our future, right? He is everything to this franchise. He's been hurt to the second half of the season, but he's also an amazing defender. He's obviously a top 5 offensive player in the league. He is a stud. You cannot sacrifice the next 5 to 10 years of the Timberwolves' life to possibly win this series. If we're down, 3-1 after 4, I wouldn't bring him back. So obviously he's a competitor. He's going to want to come back. But as the Timberwolves organization, you got to be smart about this. Like, he is, we haven't had a player like him for 20 years. We need to hold on to this and not be stupid about it. But if you're up 3-1 and you need to finish it off, and then you're going to the Western Conference Finals again, sacrifice all you want, I guess. I don't know what the difference is, but if when you have a real chance to move on, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think, as Timberwolves fans, you don't take it for granted. Like, you're in the mix. Anything, like, SGA goes down in the next series, things change dramatically, right? So, like, I don't think you can just say, well, like, throw this one away, because, like, again, you don't know. And it feels like the Wolves are there. They're probably a step behind OKC, but they're knocking on the door, man.
Absolutely.
They are right there. And I was nervous about Boston in the East, and here they blow a 3-1 lead. So
Tatum doesn't even play in Game 7. I wonder what was going on. I didn't see his injury, but
yeah, I mean, he got hurt obviously in Game 6, and it sounded like right away they kind of thought he might be out, but. Yeah, I mean, too bad for them, but also I don't think they were banking on getting to the finals this year. They kind of, I think this was kind of a gap year for them, where they thought, well, we'll be somewhat competitive, but we'll just bank on Tatum coming back, and here they get the 2 seed because it's the East, but the Pistons don't scare
No.
you. The Knicks are solid, but again, it's like something happens with OKC or whatever, and
Hmm.
you don't want that to happen,
No.
but yeah, it's I don't know, man. This team is just every year I kind of get this like it's just the anti Minnesota.
Yeah.
I don't get the woe is me. I get the like, hey, we could do this. Like these guys are tough. They're gritty. They do all these like little things, and they got a full deep roster, like you said. When they're healthy, man, that's what sucks. Is I just loved watching Dante play so much, and I
Yep.
feel like he is built for the Spurs and the OKC series. Like those are the teams that he can really help you with. So I mean, obviously unfortunate for him and his career, but like just from a Wolves fan perspective, it's a bummer, but you know, they still got enough. I think
They
that's
do.
what Finch was saying, right? They still got
Yep.
enough.
Yep. It's pretty incredible. It's like it sucks too that there's a chance he doesn't play for us ever again. Like he's got 1 year
Yeah.
left. It depends on how he comes back, and he became. I mean, I have a lot of favorite players right now because all of them are just, there's something to like about all of them. And he really just his defense and his intensity and how he can get the crowd going, and he hits big time shots. It really sucks that it ended like that, but hopefully we're smart, or hopefully for him he's healthy, right, and comes back strong, and then maybe we can cut a deal, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise in 2 years. Who knows? When we move over to the
Yeah.
East.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Rumors abound. Do you want to lay any prediction out there? Do you have a feeling? Do you got a sense? I know you think the Wolves might steal game one. It sounded like.
Yeah, I can see. My heart says we lose in 6 or 7, just because I'm cautious. I'm very cautious with predictions. I don't want to come out and just be the homer and be like Wolves in 6. We did it last time.
Yeah.
The Spurs are a lot different. They were They battled all year. They were the better seed all year. But there's always a scenario that there's no way I would have ever picked us to win Game 6 ever, especially like that. Like we struggled for a little bit, but then we pretty much dominated the second half. So I don't know. It's a hard series to predict, but I would have to predict a Wolves loss, and I'll call it 7. I think maybe we take them 7
Okay.
and lose on the road, but obviously I'm hoping for to be wrong in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm probably right with you. Like if I had to predict one, that's probably what I'd say. But God, the news of Ant maybe being ready for game one has got me feeling like, geez. I mean, you get some
It depends with him
40.
though. I mean, I'm nervous if
You
he
mean just
plays
as
because
health?
like
Oh,
no, not really that, but like if he's not 100%, he's been he's one of our better defenders. He reminds me a lot of like the Kobe's and the MJ's, the people that like they can lock you down defensively on top of being a great offensive player, and he hasn't been that way this year because of his knee. Now he's got another bad knee. So like yeah, like he might physically be able to get out there, but is it going to help the team if he's not absolutely 100% and ready to go full bore? Because you could tell he wasn't fully there defensively. He wasn't guarding Murray. Like I think he normally would have guarded him because he can shut him down. But so it almost makes me
yeah.
nervous that that he's willing to come back early. So I mean, I hope he does, and I hope he's healthy and he puts up 40 and gets us that game 1 win or maybe game 2. But I'm very nervous about the scenario with him. But it would be fun. It would be such a boost.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Like I feel like there's a little bit of posturing right now, and there's like, oh, he's questionable as if he might play, and maybe that's just to kind of get the Spurs thinking about it a little bit. But I think realistically, like I think even if you drop 2 and you come home and he plays in game 3, like
Yeah.
you know, losing 2 on the road in a 7-game series isn't the end of the world.
No.
So I think, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be careful. Like that's the thing is, I think he got medically cleared, and that's why he was
He did.
upgraded to questionable. Now that doesn't mean, he's gonna play, but I think, he's a competitor, so you're right. Like you got to protect him from himself probably a little bit here, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. He's always I felt like kind of like an Adrian Peterson where he comes back a little earlier than you think just
Yep.
because he's a 25,
Superhuman.
24-year-old. Yeah,
Yep.
right. Like it's not like you and I getting hurt at pickup ball where we're out for 2 years because we
Yep.
got pulled a
Yep.
hamstring.
Yep. Literally, I'm living that right now. Yep.
Hitting close to home. Um, all right. Well, that's enough Wolves talk. Let's talk about your passion project right now because after, like I said at the top of the show here, talking about your passion for basketball was very obvious from the start. And you started Radke Basketball Academy. What was kind of the moment where you were like, you know what, I'm ready for this. I want to do this, and I'm all in on basketball.
This is going to be a little deeper than a sports podcast wants to go, but I'm going to go there.
Let's
I
dive
turned
deep.
40 last year. Yep, I turned 40 last year, and it kind of hit me that like the whole like, what are you doing with your life? Like there's a reason we're here. We get one life. I'm passionate about basketball. I'm passionate about the outdoors. I love camping and that stuff. And I was just trying to figure out a way to like turn a passion into a career. And it just kind of clicked with basketball, especially after coaching with you last year. The love of the game came back pretty strong. And I just kind of wanted a reason to look forwards to something, instead of the mundane Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. And it kind of just clicked a little bit that's the direction that I wanted to go. And then it's also like I love this community. I love where we live. Been here 8 years now. I've coached my kid through countless different sports. Try to help out at the school as much as I can, and I just think that there's a need in the community with something like this, and with like a mentor type situation, but also where I can get paid to do what I love.
I'm seeing the kids that you're working with, and I've been around you enough, and I know like we share a lot of the same basketball. I don't know if it's philosophy, but just like how you get better, right? Like the simple things, fundamentals, things like that. There's a lot of trainers out there, and I see all the videos, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that's cool. And sometimes I'm like, what are we doing? Like 99% of kids won't be able to do that, or it won't need to do that ever. What is kind of your focus or unique component that you think you're bringing to your training?
I don't know if it's even that unique because it's the basics, right? It's the fundamentals. My whole kind of MO is just basics, and kind of pounding it into the fundamentals of the game so that when you're playing, you don't even have to think about it, right? Getting your footwork correct, shooting form correct, getting your ball handling down. I just think it's really important to be able to do all those things. And, it's on any level, like the greatest players of the game still start their workouts with fundamental things. Steph Curry still goes to the hoop every single time and does one-handed shots, and then slowly backs up. And he doesn't have to. He wouldn't have to at this point. He's almost ready to retire at some point. He still does it every single time. And so whether you're, I'm training anywhere from 7 years old, and that's not the limit, but that's the youngest I have trained, up through juniors, seniors in high school. And every single one of them can get better at the fundamentals and make them more sound in the game. So that's really where I'm focusing.
Yeah, I think, fundamentals, footwork, stuff like that is quote unquote boring to some kids. But I think there's a reason that Jokic and Doncic and Giannis to some degree, a few years ago, and even Wemby, they have great feet, great footwork, like the pivots and the shot fakes and things that like I think you and I grew up kind of doing. But we watched Hakeem Olajuwon do it. We watched Jordan do it. We watched, players like that. And I think there is a lot of kids want to just come in the gym now because they've watched Steph Curry and shoot and shoot. But it's like, have you watched all the things that he does to get ready for that?
Yeah.
Have you watched all the things he does before he gets the ball in his hands? And those are the things I think that the game needs more of to continue to improve.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I look at somebody like Ant, who is so athletic and can dunk on anybody in the NBA. But what I think is more impressive is when he splits a double team, right? Like has the footwork to, pivot back and then pivot through it and be strong with the ball. And it's those types of things that I'm more impressed with. Because there's a lot of, amazing athletes out there. But if you can, be fundamentally sound, you can go a long way. And it's funny that you mentioned all the European guys, right, that are good at footwork and good at ball handling. Look at Wemby. If Wemby grows up in America, is he as good? Because he spent the first how many years just doing fundamentally sound basketball moves, and now he happens to be 7'10" or whatever the heck he is. So he can dribble almost as good as any point guard in the league. But you don't get that stuff if you're not working on it.
Yeah. I want to ask you because I don't even know if I know the answer to this, to be honest. You had a really good season this year coaching in sixth grade. You guys improved tremendously. And I feel like at some point, it almost, I don't know if that's where the idea for your academy came from, but I definitely noticed getting through to the kids and just the big time jumps they were making throughout the year. Was there anything where you were like, I'm actually, I don't know, good at this? I know you're a very humble person, but like I'm good at this. I can do this. Or like just to see that jump from kids who maybe, there's a couple on your team who had never played, and like to see their jumps that they made is like phenomenal from the outside perspective. So was there anything during the season that really like nudged you or motivated you even more to do this?
Yeah, so I know the exact moment that I decided to do it, but I'll kind of go back on what you said with training kids, and it was really fun. I had 9 kids on the team. 4 of them have never played organized basketball before. So, and I kind of liked that, right? Because you went from 0 to whatever it was at the end of the year. And like this is what their training was basketball practice. So it was a lot of fun to see them grow. But at the same time, like last year we coached at the B level, together, and then this year was down to the C level. So the level that the kids are at is completely different. So you have to change how you coach, right? You have to remind yourself probably for the first month. Like it was kind of a reality check of like I would talk about, get on the baseline, and half the kids didn't know what that term meant. So it was kind of like a holy cow, there's an opportunity here to teach kids the basics and teach them about basketball. But I was very fortunate to have a really fun group of coaches again to coach with. John was a lot of fun to coach with. He was by my side a lot through the season. And it just kind of pushed me to, continue trying to come up with new ways to get through to the kids, and be creative, and I kind of wing it a lot with practice plans because I want to change up. I don't want it to be, the boring same routine every single time, right? You can learn in different ways and different kids learn in different ways. So, but it kind of hit me. We were practicing, we shared a lot of gym time, and we were practicing with the 5th grade team, and I think it was the 5th grade A team. And so I was coaching with Josh, and I'm blanking on his last name right now, but and we were talking, and a couple of the parents on that team came up to me afterwards and said like, hey, you're pretty good at this, like that was fun to watch. But in the middle of it, Josh and I started talking about like, I just kind of went up to him and be like, man, wouldn't it be awesome to do this for a living? And we just kind of like spitballed off each other of like, I want to do this for a living. Like I want to coach kids basketball and get paid to do it. And I don't want to do anything else. And obviously I can't just quit my job and go full bore into this. But that was kind of the moment, and then you saw me shortly after that at a music thing with Palmer and Ellis, and I showed you the mock-up of the Radke Basketball Academy, and at that time I was actually leaning towards the Fundamentals Factory, which I still am, going back and forth with names, but I like to put my last name into it and show that I care and have heart. But I wanted to go all in though. Like I wanted to get the gym built. I wanted to, have this monstrous big thing. There's these other companies, Enterprise Basketball and all these different companies that are doing the bigger things. But so it was kind of daunting right away to think about how this was going to happen. And I got pretty bummed just because I was like, it's not going to happen. You're right. Like that's too big of a dream. Right. I don't have $500,000 sitting in a bank account to just go build a gym and, whatever. So I went to lunch with a really good friend of mine. His name's Reed Nelson. And I told him about this idea. And he looked at me in the face when I told him I was bummed this isn't going to happen or whatever. And he said, why can't it happen? And I was like, well, I can't do it. And he goes, I'll quote someone who told him this once, is that you have to take off and learn how to fly the plane when you're in the air. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he goes, get a website going and find a gym and just start training kids. You don't have to have a gym. Go rent a gym. Go find a space. So I was like, holy cow, like that's actually, really smart. I'm kind of a big picture guy. I didn't even think about like, let's do these small steps to get into the bigger thing. I was like, 10,000 feet in the air with that plane when I took off, but his advice, kind of propelled me to just start, right? Just get going. So that's what I did. And now I think I started the first week of March. So I'm, 2 months into this thing and we're rolling. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I see the videos, man. It's awesome stuff. Obviously, we're doing some coaching together, so I'm seeing some of it firsthand, some of the things you guys are doing, and it's awesome. It's great to have friends like that. I mean, that's honestly how this podcast started, was a very similar conversation, a very similar, like, just start it. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect from the get-go. Just get rolling. So it's just important to have people around you like that, and I would consider you to be someone like that in my world as well. So it's awesome. Really excited about your Radke Basketball Academy. Where can people find it? By the way, I should make note, you mentioned our community. We're in the Mound, Orono, Minnetrista area. So if anybody's got a youth player, what do you take? Anybody 5 to high school, or what's the ages you got?
Right now, you can go to radkebasketballacademy.com or check out my Instagram. Just search Radke Basketball Academy. But I'll train a baby. I'll train a 90-year-old. I don't care. I love basketball, and if someone wants to come in, like I have a session with a 7-year-old girl who's very new to the game. And I already had one with her, and I'm having another one on Monday. So, like what's that, first grade? So, it's first grade through senior. But I'll train college kids. I'll train whoever wants to come learn how to play basketball. I am open. I've got 3 different sessions, kind of a new to the game, which is generally like kindergarten through 4th grade. And then kind of a little more advanced one where it's like middle school age, and then the higher level, which is high school. And the only reason why I have it separated is more for just teaching at the same level, right? It'd be really hard to train a 7-year-old and a senior in high school at the same time, just for drills and things like that. But, and the drills don't have to change. Like a lot of people think like, what's your progression? And it's like, I mean, you can do the same drill over and over and just get better at it, right? Like a junior high person who is, like I got, Nico and Bowden that come through, and they're twins and they're at different levels, and I can train them and do the same moves with them, but one can do it a little faster and the other one can slow it down, and they can both progress at their own stage, right? Like this doesn't have to be some elite thing, but it's a lot of fun, and I just encourage anyone who is even interested in getting into basketball or has a kid that, there's something there that maybe they just need a little extra time. And I think the one thing that I stand out to is like my prices are very fair, very, very fair. I've looked at a lot of these other academies that charge hundreds of dollars for sessions, and I'm at $20 for the new to the game and $25 for everything else. So, and it's hour session for the new to the game and 90 minutes for the other one. So, yeah, I'm just pumped. I'm so glad I'm doing this.
Yeah, I am too, man. It's your passion just exudes from you, so it's awesome.
Appreciate that.
I'm glad. Yeah, anytime we can help you out, I'm here for you, and we'll see you at practice this week, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Radke Basketball Academy.com. Dan Radke, appreciate you coming on the podcast today, man.
Thank you, Steve.
Great to talk to you.
Out. Thanks.
Thanks again to my guest, Dan Radke from Radke Basketball Academy. Super fun conversation. It's been great getting to know Dan, and I'm so excited that he's bringing his passion to life with his basketball academy. If you have a youth player interested in improving their game, getting some extra time in the gym, working with somebody who's coached at the high school level and the youth level, Dan is, like you said, extremely fair pricing, and he cares a lot, and he's really going to give everything he can to help your player get better. So reach out to him, radkebasketballacademy.com. That's the show for today. Next episode, we'll be talking Spurs Wolves. They'll have 2 games under the belt, I think, by the time we come to you again. And hopefully we got a 1-1 split. Maybe we'll see Ant in game 1. It's really fun to be just following basketball still as we flip the calendar to May. And so thanks again for listening. This has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again.